Is also requested to put the mobile phones on silent mode. घर ही संदन शांति सुख के प्रगति पथ पर साथ मिल सब चल सके।
शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। मर्म में मेरे कृपा कर, मर्म में मेरे कृपा कर आप आए हंस पर। शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। माँ करूँ तुमको नमन मुझको शरण में लीजिए। माँ करूँ तुमको नमन मुझको शरण में लीजिए। हे दयामयी देवी सिंधु, हे दयामयी देवी सिंधु बुद्धि हमको दीजिए। शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। देह पाकर आपका वाणी अमर हो जाएगी। देह पाकर आपका वाणी अमर हो जाएगी। ज्ञान मिल जाए हृदय की, ज्ञान मिल जाए हृदय की कालिमा धुल जाएगी। शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। मर्म में मेरे कृपा कर, मर्म में मेरे कृपा कर आप आए हंस पर। शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर। बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर।
With regard to establishing rights for farmers to save, use, exchange and sell farm saved seed. It seeks to ensure that the seeds are of good quality. So far, 12 crop species have been brought under the scope of the Act and more species will follow. The seminar aims to bring together leading academic scholars, researchers, and faculty members to share proven ideas, experiences, and perspectives on the protection of plant varieties and farmers' rights. It is our proud privilege to have in our midst Dr. G.V. Reddy, Chief Wildlife Warden, Government of Rajasthan, as our chief guest. We also acknowledge the distinguished Rajvi Chaudhary, Director, Rajasthan Adult Education, and notable farmer innovators, Shri Sundaram Verma, Srimati Santosh Pachar, and Srimati Bhagwati Devi. A very warm welcome to all the distinguished guests and participants. It has been a glorious tradition of the IS University to begin the day's proceedings by lighting the lamp and invoking the divine spirits. I now request our chief guest, Dr. G.V. Reddy, Chief Wildlife Warden, Government of Rajasthan, Dr. Rakhi Gupta. Thank you, ma'am.
Shri Sundaram Verma Sahab, a prominent plant breeder. Shri Rathod Sahab, former Director Seed Certification, Government of Rajasthan. Shri Rajiv Chaudhary, Director Rajasthan Adult Education, and Professor Divakar Sahab, Divakar Shastri ji from RARI. मैं इस यूनिवर्सिटी में आप सबका हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं और ये मेरा सौभाग्य है कि इस समय आप लोगों के स्वागत के लिए यहाँ पर हूँ। ये सेमिनार जो है खासतौर से मैं बहुत प्रसन्न हूँ डॉक्टर रेड्डी साहब का स्वागत करने के लिए कि जो कि अभी कुछ टाइम पहले चीफ वाइल्ड लाइफ वार्डन गवर्नमेंट ऑफ राजस्थान के बने हैं। एंड IS यूनिवर्सिटी जो है हमारी, इट इज ये काफ़ी नई यूनिवर्सिटी है, इट्स यंग यूनिवर्सिटी विद यंग एंड इंटरजेनेटिक फैकल्टी. The university was granted status of deemed to be university by HMRD in the year 2010. At that time, it was put under the category 1 along with the top 39 deemed university of the country. Previously, इससे पहले IS यूनिवर्सिटी ICG के नाम से जाना जाता था, जिसकी स्थापना 93 में हुई थी और बाद में ये एज ए इंटरनेशनल कॉलेज फॉर गर्ल्स. एंड हमारी जो यूनिवर्सिटी है एक ये मल्टी फैकल्टी यूनिवर्सिटी है, इसमें तीनों फैकल्टीज हैं, साइंस फैकल्टी, कॉमर्स फैकल्टी, आर्ट्स फैकल्टी. एंड तकरीबन इसमें 5000 स्टूडेंट हैं यहाँ पे और करीब 300 स्टाफ मेंबर्स हैं हमारे यहाँ पे. ये एक दिन का जो सेमिनार है प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ प्लांट वेराइटीज एंड फार्मर राइट्स, ये हमारे जो IP मैनेजमेंट सेल है यूनिवर्सिटी की वो ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहा है. इसके लिए मैं कोऑर्डिनेटर कन्वीनर पायल मेहतानी, डॉक्टर शिल्पी रिजवानी एंड पंकज कुमार को धन्यवाद देता हूँ. और इसमें हम लोगों के जो हेल्प करी है वो है PPVRA. एंड यू नो दैट आवर कंट्री is a signatory of the WTO, which is the World Trade Organization, which was established in 1995. General Agreement on the Tariff and Trade, that is जो कि GATT, recognized agriculture as a rule-bound enterprise of investment and profit-making. India became signatory to trade-related aspects of Intellectual Property Rights Agreement (TRI-IPS) in 1994. Article 2.3b of the agreement required the member countries to provide for protection of plant varieties either by patent or by an active sui generis system, or by any combination thereof. The existing Indian Patent Act 1970 exclude agriculture and horticulture methods of production from potentiality. During 2001, significant development have taken place with respect to the realization of the right of breeders, farmers, and local community. The Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmer Right Act PPV and FR was passed by Indian government. The sui generis system of protection of plant varieties was developed in integrating the right of breeders, farmers, and village communities, and taking care of the concern for equitable sharing of benefits. It offers flexibility with regards to protected genera species level. The Act covers all categories of plants except microorganisms. The objective of the Act are to provide for effective system for protection of plant varieties, to provide for the right of farmers and plant breeders, to stimulate investment in research and development, and facilitate growth of seed industries. And lastly, to ensure availability of higher quality seeds and planting material to the farmers. We are fortunate to have Mr. Verma, a known plant breeders and innovators, Mr. Rathod and the Shastri Sahab as resource persons. I hope that the deliberation of this conference will help our faculty and students to understand and the subject in much more detail and clarity. I once again welcome to you all and thanks to all for joining us. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. I now request Dr. G.V. Reddy to deliver the key.
Namaskar. Respected Pradeep Bhatnagar sir, Sundaram Verma ji, Rathod sir, Rajiv Chaturvedi ji, दिवाकर शास्त्री साहब और प्रोफेसर राखी गुप्ता, मैडम शिल्पी रिजवानी, माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स और दूर से आए हुए किसान भाइयों और बहनों, मैं कोशिश करता हूं कि मैं हिंदी में थोड़ा बात करूं ताकि जो किसान भाई है जिसके लिए ये कार्यक्रम आयोजन किया है उनको ये महसूस नहीं हो कि ये सारे अंग्रेज लोग क्या बात करके गए हैं। ये आपके लिए है, खास तौर पे आपके लिए। और मैं यकीन के साथ बताऊंगा ये कानून क्या है, एक्ट क्या है, नियम क्या है, उसके बारे में हमें समझना है। यदि एक्ट को नहीं समझा तो वकील लोग जैसा हमें चक्कर कटवाएंगे। आप कितना भी कोई नया चीज को आपने पैदा किया तो भी उसको उतना ही चक्कर काटते रहेंगे कि उसका कोई फायदा नहीं होगा। I sincerely request all the students who are here, may be connected with biotechnology or with law or with any other who have interest, who have come here to attend the program, to listen carefully to the speakers, to understand it, and to explain it to the farmers. What is it required to be done? What is all this fuss about protection of plant varieties and farmers' rights? I am basically a forest officer connected right now with the wildlife conservation? How am I connected with these plant varieties and protection? I sincerely thank IAS University to call me for this program. Long back, I was a student of MSc Botany. I did my post-graduation from SV University, Tirupati. Later, I joined Indian Agriculture Research Institute, PUSA, the premier agriculture research institute for a research program in 1983 in plant physiology. I was there with the university. Because I was from a pure science, I had to go through those bridge courses for agriculture. I had the occasion to attend agronomy and all related. संक्षिप्त में मैं बता दूं कि मैं एक पूसा एक बहुत बड़ा अनुसंधान संस्था है दिल्ली में, उसमें मैंने पढ़ाई की थी 50-80 में. मुझे वापस बुलाया इस काम से और इस कारण से मैं रात भर पढ़ते रहा कि ये है क्या चीज है, पढ़ना है, समझना है. वांटेड टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस प्लांट वैरायटी फार्मर्स राइट्स एक्ट. और वन मोर थिंग was when I joined Agriculture Research Institute, I was exposed to a lot of new things. One is pure line selection. I'm citing you which are relevant to this today's topic. Pure line selection, clonal selection, breeder seed, certified seed. So, and NBPGR, National Genetic Biodiversity Center. So these were few things which I was exposed to. And I am from Andhra Pradesh. I am from a community which is primarily an agriculture community, Reddy community, which is like your Jat or Gujar or who do a lot of agriculture in this state. I didn't know my father or my uncle when they were growing crops. After every crop, when they get the harvest, they used to take out the best seeds and keep it separate for the next season. I never realized when I was a child what they were doing. As a common man's logic, I thought they are doing a better seed collection for the next season. It is natural. They wanted it for the next crop. But when I joined the research, of Indian Agriculture Research Institute, PUSA, I realized that what my uncle or my father was practicing was not simple selection process, simple selection of seeds, common seeds. He was doing a selection. Over years and years, millions of farmers like my uncle, they have selected the seeds best suited for that particular soil or climate region, and they came out with some varieties, and those varieties are best suited for that, and they would get the best crop and highest harvest for that. That was the simple selection process which farmer, my uncle, my father, and they followed it, and probably many farmers in the whole country they were following. It was very simple. It was simply out of the crop lot, you will select some horn which is very big, tall, thick, with big seeds. That was the criteria. So later when the science concepts came in, then the breeding started. They would breed one variety from one place to the other place and do it, and then you get breeder seed. You get breeding, new varieties. It's a faster way of doing things. And then the new things have come. We will come to the technology part. So, the varieties, plant varieties, always is a big topic for any serious science student interested in biodiversity. How is it connected with our life and common man? If you recollect the topics of genetically modified crops, GM crops, or intellectual property rights, these are all serious issues. It is not a farmer in a faraway, remote village doing some agriculture, keeping some seeds now and keeping it for his next crop and doing it. It is no more. Now in this global era, all countries are connected. The villages are connected to the towns. Towns are connected to the bigger towns. Bigger towns are connected to the countries. So there is a trade going on between many countries. And everywhere we want growth and growth and growth. And everywhere the trade comes. So when the trade comes, then the rules come. This is how the system has developed. And recently I had a chance to see a movie by National Geography. It's one of the influential movies on my personality and thinking about farmers, about whole civilization. And you all know that civilization started with hunting gathering to agriculture, from agriculture to industry, industry to what? Industry to services. Now it's our IT technology, revolutions, it's all happening. But agriculture is the basis for the civilizations. The Indus Valley civilization, or India civilization, or Ithaca civilization, or Chinese. So they are all based on the settled agriculture, the Vedas. They started with this settled agriculture. So one scientist, David Diamond, he is basically an ornithologist. He used to work in Papua New Guinea. एक पपुआ न्यू गिनी करके एक क्षेत्र था, वहां कुछ ट्राइबल्स के साथ वो गए, बर्ड्स को देखने लग गया, एंड देन बर्ड्स को देखते देखते उनके ट्राइबल्स के साथ काफी गुल मिल गया, बातचीत करने लग गया. तो उस ट्राइब ने एक ने पूछा था उनसे क्वेश्चन कि हमेशा आप गोरे लोगों के पास धन क्यों जाता है, हमारे पास क्यों नहीं? ट्राइब हैज आस्क्ड दैट क्वेश्चन. यही क्वेश्चन फार्मर भी पूछ सकता है. हमारा एक फार्मर, मेरा ताऊ जी ने पूछा था मेरे से, मेरा आपका तनख्वाह कितना है? उस समय में 80, 50, 90 की बात थी. मैंने बोला कि 20,000 होगा, 15-20,000. 15,000, 20,000. यू वर सरप्राइज्ड. क्यों? 20,000 मतलब सालाना 2,40,000. तो उन्होंने कहा कि मुझे 1 बीघा में उस समय 2,000 या 1,000 रुपया इनकम होता था. तो यदि 20,000 रुपया आना चाहिए तो मुझे 20 बीघा चाहिए. तो कोई भी 20 बीघा में भी बिना मेहनत, या मेरा अंकुल सोचता है कि मेरा बिना मेहनत पैसा तनख्वाह मिल रहा है. तो कोई भी फार्मर हमारे देश में, आप चैलेंज के साथ मैं कह सकता हूं, आज भी एक प्यून का सैलरी से भी कम पाता है मेहनत करने के बाद भी. ऐसा ही क्वेश्चन वो जैरेड डायमंड से पूछा था एक ट्राइब ने, Why do you Europeans have more cargo than us? उसको सोचने के लिए वो चल पड़ता है, तब उनको समझ में आता है एग्रीकल्चर इज द मेन रीजन. मगर एग्रीकल्चर भी वो भी पपुआ न्यू गिनी में भी करते हैं, वो दूसरा जगह भी करता है. देयर इज स्मॉल डिफरेंस इन दैट. लेट अस वॉच दैट स्मॉल क्लिप फॉर 5 minutes. It gives a small basic background for you. पूरा दुनिया में यूरोप ने पूरा दुनिया को रोंद डाला, 200 साल या 300 साल उसको राज किया. उसका कारण क्या था? वन इज गन्स, जर्म्स एंड स्टील. वो एक क्लिपिंग है, इट्स ए 3-hour मूवी. मैं किसी ने, फ्रेंड ने मुझे दिया है, मैं कमर्शियली आपको दिखा नहीं सकता हूँ, पायरेसी है. बट पर्सनली कोई इंटरेस्टेड हो तो somebody can watch it. I want to show you the clip, वो movie clip. Just it's only 7 minutes, sir. Bear with me. You will be interested in knowing the background for these varieties and why English people.
Modern history has been shaped by conquest. The conquest of the world by Europeans. The conquistadors led the way. A few hundred men who came to the New World and decimated the native population. The secret of their success? guns, germs, and steel. Ever since, people of European origin have dominated the globe with the same combination of military power, lethal microbes, and advanced technology. But how did they develop these advantages in the first place? Why did the world ever become so unequal? These are questions that Professor Jared Diamond has spent more than 30 years trying to answer. One of the most original thinkers of our age, Diamond has traveled the world looking for clues. He set himself a daunting task: to peel back the layers of the past and explore the very roots of power in the modern world. They believe this was a small village, one of the earliest permanent villages anywhere in the world. People were starting to put down roots.
What we would have had was this village of, 40, 50 people living in the same place. We would have had a series of oval huts that would have been partially cut into the ground. And these would have been very much the first time people settled down and lived in communities in a really extensive way.
When they radiocarbon dated the site, they discovered that the village first emerged 11,500 years ago, at the same time as the end of the drought in the Middle East. But how was it possible to feed an entire village if times were so hard? After 4 years of digging at Dra, the archaeologists believe they have an answer. It lies in this unique structure.
What you can see here is the outline mud wall coming all the way around here, and on the inside we have a series of upright stones that have been chipped in such a way where you can see a notch on them. And there would have been a series of beams over top of that with a floor across it. And basically you would have had a dry, humidity-controlled environment where they could take grain, they could take any plants, they could dry them out, put them in here, protect them from insects, protect them from moisture, protect them from water percolating through. What that ends up being, from our perspective, is probably the world's first granary in some form, a place where they were able to store food in a particular location on a year-round basis.
The team at Dra believes the granary was an oval-shaped mud wall building at the center of the village, a place where grain could be stored collectively. And the grains that were being stored were primarily wheat and barley. While other plants were no longer available, these cereal grasses were hardy enough to survive and durable enough to be stored for years. But if this was a time of scarcity, how was there enough grain to fill a granary? The answer suggests a radical shift in human behavior. At some point during the drought in the Middle East, people started growing their own food. Unable to maintain a mobile way of life, they would have stayed close to any source of water they could find and planted new fields of wheat and barley around them.
Rather than just following food sources around different locations, for the first time what people start to do is that they bring these resources back to them. Not just as harvested food, but they're bringing them as seeds. And they're growing them next to their village. And that's the first time, really, this is the first time we see this anywhere in the world.
The Stone Age people of the Middle East were becoming farmers, the first farmers in the world. Without realizing it, these new farmers were changing the very nature of the crops around them. With every round of planting and harvesting, they'd favor ears of wheat and barley whose seeds were the biggest, tastiest, or easiest to harvest. Traits that were useless to the plant in the wild thrived under human cultivation.
They interrupted the cycle. They interrupted the normal environmental cycle and started to select these individual plants and basically rewarding those that were going to be most profitable to them. And so even though it was accidental, once that whole process started, people are starting to control nature.
The way crops are changed by human interference is known as domestication. Today it happens in research labs, with scientists selecting genes and breeding crops to be ever more useful to humans. It's a very precise, deliberate process, but not so different from what the first farmers were doing unconsciously thousands of years ago in the Middle East.
The transition to farming was clearly a decisive turning point in human history. People who remained hunter-gatherers couldn't produce anywhere near as much food as farmers, and also couldn't produce much food that could be stored. They were always going to be at a chronic disadvantage. Now I needed to know where else in the ancient world people had become farmers. If I could establish links between the spread of farming and the spread of civilization, I'd be well on my way to answering Yali's question.
There are only a few parts of the ancient world that developed farming independently. Not long after the Middle East came China, where people grew another high-yield cereal grass, rice. Pockets of farming also emerged in the Americas, based on corn, squash, and beans. Later in Africa, people farmed sorghum, millet, and yams. And in most places where farming emerged, a relatively large advanced civilization followed. But there was an exception to the rule, an area where farming didn't bring the same benefits. The highlands of New Guinea.
Thanks. Actually, it's a very interesting movie. It's a 3-hour movie. The professor wanted to know why certain communities have dominated the world. The Europe has dominated the whole world. They have conquered America, New Zealand, Australia, even Africa, South America, all the countries, except Europe. Europe has dominated the rest of the continents. He wanted to find out. The one was the crops, what we have seen. Papua New Guinea, though it is a tribal community, hunting-gatherers, they were only connected with barley, they were connected with sago. Whereas the Middle East they started doing wheat, the cereals. So then the Europeans discovered the steel making. So they have guns. So that gunpowder, they had given them. The most important was when the Europeans invaded South America, they carried the germs, smallpox, chickenpox. So the Latin American countries, they were never exposed to that. So they were easily attacked by those germs. So they became weak and Europeans were very dominant. So they easily conquered Latin America. But the Europeans, when they went to Africa, they encountered a disease called malaria. So they were never exposed to these tropical diseases, which the Europeans first time faced it. So this is how the history of the whole world has changed because of these three: guns, germs, and steel. It's a very interesting movie. You should watch it. Most important, हम ये बता रहे थे कि दुनिया में ऐसा चला, बट खास तौर पे दुनिया में जो भी प्रगति हुआ है, वहां जहां खेती बाड़ी का प्रचलन ज्यादा चला, और पहले जो फार्मर किसान हजारों साल पहले जो करता था और वो आज जो कर रहा है, काफी अंतर है. आज साइंस का बहुत बढ़ गया. प्रेजेंटेशन और मुझे ये पापुआ न्यू गिनी के देखने के बाद हम इंडिया को देखते हैं कि हमारा इंडिया भी दुनिया का बायोडाइवर्सिटी बोलते हैं, अलग अलग जैविक विविधता है, एंड इट्स 10th topmost biodiverse country in the world, and it has got so many species. You can see the list. वहाँ algae लिखा है, इसमें खास तौर पे नीचे से दूसरा angiosperms, which are the ये एंजियोस्पर्म्स है. इसमें 17,926 स्पीसीज है हमारे इंडिया में, विच इज रफली 7.1% ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. ये काफी, दे आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बायोडाइवर्सिटी. सो ये बायोडाइवर्सिटी दुनिया में जिस कंट्रीज में ज्यादा है वही ताकतवर होंगे. ये अलग अलग कैटेगरीज के हैं. ये सीरियल्स है, ये सीरियल्स है, मिलेट्स है, ग्राम्स है. सो इस प्रकार का वैरायटीज है. हमारा कितने कल्टीवेटेड है, कितना वाइल्ड वैरायटीज है. इंडिया में भी ये बायोडाइवर्सिटी है जिसकी वजह से इंपॉर्टेंट है. ये कल्टीवेटेड प्लांट्स और वाइल्ड रिलेटिव्स का क्या लिंक है? Science students who are connected with biodiversity and biotechnology might be well aware of one or two great examples of how the rice crop was saved from one disease. Can anybody from the student side give me that example? Yellow vein mosaic virus. Have you heard about it? Okay, so that's a very famous example. Everybody quotes about it. So in late 80s, so there was a outbreak of this particular virus in rice plants, and there was a threat to the cultivation of rice. So they searched for all types of medicines and all types of strains. So they ultimately found that in tropical forests of Kerala, there was one particular variety called Oryza nivara. Oryza nivara. Oryza sativa is the main species. Oryza nivara was that wild cultivar variety. That particular strain had the strength to tolerate that virus. So the scientists have transferred those genes from that Oryza nivara to Oryza sativa and saved that particular crop. Imagine India, half of the country, all south, half of Maharashtra, Orissa, Bengal, Northeast, all people, they eat primarily the rice. Whole of Southeast Asia, whole of China, so many countries in the world, there are more rice eaters in the world than wheat or corn. So this particular crop was saved. You are all aware that without having food security, we cannot have the security of the country. So this was the one great example always quoted. There were other even wild ladyfingers, that okra or bindi, wild moo. They all helped. I have the name of those varieties. In case of wild ladyfinger, Abel musculus tuberulatus, and the wild moo, Vigna radiata var sublota. This particular variety was used to save the original cultivar variety. So this is the importance of this particular number of wild relatives of these cultivated species. And this is the group category number of accessions, the countries NBPGR, they have so many collection of these varieties, these samples with them right now. This country is going ahead. The genetic resources, whatever we are talking about, the wild varieties or farmers varieties, they are essentially they are land races. They are land races. Like I said, my uncle was collecting, or it was improved cultivars through breeding technology they have done it, or wild or weedy relatives. The example of the Oryza nivara, or the wild useful species for plant species that are exactly not fully domesticated, wild species of potential uses. These are the few plant genetic resources which are highly valued. So now we are mostly interested in the land races and improved cultivars because they are connected with the farmers directly. The cultivated plants have been derived from all wild relatives, and wild relative species have contributed significantly toward improvement of crops. Wild relatives are economically important for edible and medicinal plants. And the country's premier institute, the Indian Agriculture Research Institute and NBPGR, they have divided India into three rich biodiversity regions. One is Himalaya region. Second is Southern Peninsular region. The third is Andaman Nicobar Islands region. They have surveyed these areas extensively and tried to locate the different varieties of plants of these regions and collected. It is not going to the forest and doing it, it is through contacting farmers regularly and going out and establishing it. As students of biotechnology and agriculture, you may be aware, or the Professor Rathod sir will explain what is a variety, how to distinguish a variety. There are specific characteristics by which it is defined as a variety, and they have defined a farmer also, who is a farmer, who is a breeder in the act. So these are all very important terminology which everybody should be understanding to do the so-called farming and later to the trade of farming. And I just want to, can anybody identify these species? This is a very interesting species, Trichup jailanica. Trichup jailanica is found in Kerala. It's very important species because in 1987, CSIR scientists were on a discovery mission to the forests of Agastyamalai Hills. When they were going to the forest, the three scientists who were going into the forest, they had some porters, local people, Kani tribes. They used to walk a lot in the forest area. But always the three scientists were tired. The tribes were never tired. They were surprised why these three were not so tired. First they thought maybe because the urban people are less hardy and they have no stamina, and the tribes are well versed with the terrain and They are hardy and they are acclimatized to the condition. But later they observed that the Khani tribes, when they walk around, they were eating the fruits of this plant, Trichup jainanica. You can search in the internet. Its name is called Arogya Pacha. In Ayurveda, it is called Arogya Pacha. It's an interesting story. You read it in the net. So then they collected those seeds and extracted the chemical components of that. And those seeds had some flavonoids which were giving them energy. It's a traditional knowledge. It's a traditional knowledge which the Khani tribes preserved it. Only the Khani tribes, they knew about it, nobody else knew about it. So CSIR people started making some Arogya Pacha or some material with that. So later there were some arguments and court cases and all. Finally the Khani tribe got a share in that intellectual property. It's a very important thing. So any company or organization coming out with a new variety, if they say that they have done something new, it is not exactly they are not the first people to do it. Of course, if you say, I have done a code or I have done a computer programming, it is done by him for the first time, not done by anybody else. But agriculture products are not like that. They are based on the knowledge of the previous community or the community as a whole. So the most important and vital part is how do we share the knowledge. This whole exercise of what Professor Rathod Sahab and Kundaram ji are going to explain to you is how do we protect the knowledge, benefit sharing mechanism to the farmers. That is what she was telling in the beginning, or Bhatnagar Sahab has mentioned in his introductory speech. What are the objectives of the Act? The objectives, I repeat: protection of plant varieties, number one; right to farmers, because they have got the right to have the gain from the particular variety, or encourage reviews; recognize contribution by the farmers, like Sundaramji has got recognition and he will get benefit, and accelerate agriculture development and facilitate growing seed industry. These are few things. They look very good, very interesting, fine. But one has to read in between lines. मैं ये बता रहा था कि ये एक्ट बहुत अच्छा लगता है, बट इसको बारीकी से पढ़ना बहुत ही आवश्यक है. इसमें दे बताते हैं कि हम आपको राइट्स देते हैं. इट्स ए लॉन्ग बैटल, आपको इतना आसानी से नहीं मिल सकता. ये एक्ट में आपको रजिस्टर करना है, उसका फीस देना है, रेगुलरली आपको चेक करना है. इसके बहुत पहलू है जिसके बारे में सभी फार्मर्स को और स्टूडेंट्स को भी बताना बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है. ये कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स है. मैं डाइवर्सिटी का इम्पोर्टेंट इसलिए कह रहा हूँ कि this country has got lot of potentiality. As I mentioned to you, 17,000 different species of plants. Every plant has got unique features and they have got a genetic setup which is unique to itself. And because of those unique properties, they have those chemicals manufactured in that. Earlier, people thought if somebody has got more cows, he was the richest person. Similarly, the country which was doing best in the agriculture was the richest. Gradually, that in agriculture contribution to the GDP has gone down. Then later, they started thinking industry is the key. Now, people started thinking industry is nothing. Now, information technology is everything. I am very confident to say that in coming years, food will be the limiting factor, medicines will be the costliest thing on earth. So, the countries with highest biodiversity, the countries who can utilize these bioresources to the advantage of generating more resources and not depending on foreign countries, foreign resources, foreign knowledge, those countries will be dominating the world. आज आप देख लीजिए, आप मेडिकल इंडस्ट्री में देखेंगे तो बायोटेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से जो मेडिसिन तैयार होते हैं, दे आर वेरी एक्सपेंसिव, बट दोज मेडिसिन आर फ्रॉम द बायोडाइवर्सिटी ऑफ दिस कंट्री. All this exercise of farmers, varieties, giving everything, which started in 1945, General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. ये जनरल एग्रीमेंट ऑन ट्रेड एंड टैरिफ आफ्टर सेकंड वर्ल्ड वॉर, दूसरे वर्ल्ड वॉर के बाद चालू हुआ है. दुनिया में क्या है, लड़ाई करना है, लड़ाई करके डोमिनेट करना है. जब लड़ाई नहीं कर सकते हैं, लड़ाई बंद हो गई सेकंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के बाद, अब चले हम दुनिया को कैसे काबू में रखें, उस काबू में रखने के लिए बिजनेस इज वन थिंग. देन वो चलते रहे, ऑब्जेक्शन चलते रहे. देन 1986 में उरुग्वे राउंड ऑफ टैक्स आया. उस उरुग्वे राउंड ऑफ टॉक्स में मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट वाज एग्रीकल्चर वाज कंसिडर्ड एज a trade product and it was included in the trade. Ultimately, this Uruguay round transformed into World Trade Organization. They talk of agriculture as one of the key commodities. Agriculture not only product, even the processes are considered very important for business. Process means patenting the technologies. Most of the times we hear basmati is patented in America, turmeric is patented in America. So these countries with advanced technology, number one, great knowledge in the law of the contemporary period, they would encash that. Though our country, our farmers have worked extensively for contributing to the development of these varieties. However, these World Trade Organization or trade-related intellectual property rights, they have put a mandatory condition on the governments to develop acts to protect the farmers. That is how this Plant Protection of Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act has come out. Apart from that, we have the CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity. They all are connected with biodiversity and biological diversity. And I just want to stop my talk here. We all work at low technology, or technology that is quite friendly, doesn't require a lot of investment, and sometimes not tinkering with the natural process. This is particularly a biotechnology. It's fantastic. I am not negating. I am not discouraging people to pursue biotechnology. It's quite challenging. I am fascinated, you know. I appreciate two things. One is always scientists try to understand the patterns. They look at the stars and tell how many millions and billions of light years they are. Or they don't see a cell, but they can tell you the double helix DNA, and then in that double helix DNA also there are ATGC, and each ATGC is bonded by a hydrogen bond. Each hydrogen bond length is how many Armstrongs? 5 Armstrongs. Maybe you can correct me later. If it is 20, I will correct myself. I will go and check it. And 5 something hydrogen bond. If it is more than that, so if you can't have a bond, if it is less than that, they will become a permanent bond. Hydrogen bond is a fluid bond. So they come out with such fantastic predictions and then models, and then they do it. Similarly, they have used this science and technology for things. This is carrot. They have something called beta carotene. They have isolated it, put it in a microorganism. Later they have extracted, put it in a tomato plant. Now they have tomatoes with more beta carotene. These ordinary farmers cannot do it. Ordinary farmers cannot do it. So the intellectual property, even though farmer has got a better plant tomato variety, because the biotechnology company is going to introduce this technology of the beta carotene into this tomato plant, he will get more advantage than the farmer who has been contributing to the rise of these varieties. So these are few issues. I feel that as science students do pursue the science of transferring genes from carrot to the tomato. That's fine. But if it is for fun, science, it is fine. But ultimately, you and me or everyone is going to be affected. And I am highly disturbed by this picture. This shows how many farmers have committed suicide. I should be excused for bringing this slide, which is a negative slide, showing about this, but I want to show the reality to the students. And I don't want to give only a rosy picture of doing great technology and saying that everything is happy with the Indian farmer. Farmers in Maharashtra, farmers in Andhra Pradesh, they do lot of cultivation. I am not blaming GM technology. I am not blaming the advanced technology. I am blaming the way we have done our green revolution. Many people may be aware of this green revolution. Green revolution? It was essential that time, 1960s and 70s, they started. We were traditionally farming lot of agriculture based on our old technologies. Dryland agriculture, rain-fed agriculture, and with local varieties. But the production levels were too low. Our population was growing up, so the farmers and scientists, agricultural scientists, they have developed a technology, something called high-yielding varieties. High-yielding varieties required two things. One was high components of water, and secondly taking care of diseases. So through these management practices, they started developing high-yielding varieties. Gradually, everybody thought the traditional agriculture is wrong and green revolution is good. Later, the economics played a greater role. The farmers started getting more product. More product means more money means more economy. So he was happy in doing things. But ultimately, after 20-30 years, everybody started analyzing what is the real impact of green revolution in our country. Punjab, most of the lands where the green revolution has started and it has picked up on a great scale, the lands are now going very bad. They are now problematic soils now. They are called Usar lands. The productivity has gone down. The farmers are really pained. Similarly, Andhra Pradesh used to have traditional cotton crops. Now we started raising BT cotton crops, BT brinjal. So when the BT cotton, they grow in a large scale, when there are certain problems with it, the crops fail totally. They never get it. So they will be in debts. They need to do it. So because of this, the farmers started committing suicides. So please, as students, please read this, all aspects of this whole business of genetic diversity. How do we benefit our farmers? Through your science. How can we counter big companies? Or through varieties. We educate the farmers. उनसे बात करें, उनको समझे, हम खुद समझे पहले, so that everything goes well. I salute the farmers of this country. I always feel bad. Once in a paper you read it, 8 रुपया या 5 रुपया टमाटर 1 किलो, 10 रुपया टमाटर किलो बिक रहा है. फार्मर्स इसको तोड़ने का भी पैसा नहीं लगा रहे. 3-3, 4-4 महीने के बाद टमाटर को तोड़ के फेंकना पड़ता है. वो ज्यादा सस्ता है ना कि शहर में लाके बेचना. एक तो ये है, वो देखते हैं दुख होता है. दूसरा, प्याज का दाम 50 हो गया तो आंखों में आंसू आ गया, ये लिखते हैं। 6 महीने में मेरा थंका बढ़ता है तो मुझे कोई आंसू नहीं आता। Please remember the plight of farmers of this country, and then try to do ये जो एक्ट है, ये सारे ज्यादा डिटेल्स में मैं जाना नहीं चाहता हूँ। I wanted to look at the social aspects of these acts, these rules, regulations. How do we understand them? How do we work with them, support the farmers? उसको समझिए। और मैं IIS यूनिवर्सिटी को धन्यवाद अर्पित करता हूँ कि रात को बहुत देर तक ये कहाँ मूवी मिला नहीं था, ढूंढता रहा और पढ़ाई करता रहा, and I felt very happy to read all about this varieties and the trade related intellectual property rights and all this. और मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि मेरा पुराना IRI का टाइम का हुआ है और मैं फार्मर्स के साथ डायरेक्टली नहीं हूँ, बट उसी से मिलता जुलता फॉरेस्ट्री कंपोनेंट में काम करता हूँ। एंड आई एम वेरी ग्लैड, एंड आप लोग मुझे सुना और मुझे मौका दिया है मेरे बात रखने के लिए। और यदि मैं कोई गलत बात कहा हो तो आप उसको, मैं क्यों गलत हूँ वो मुझे बताइए, मैं सुधारूंगा। थैंक यू।
Thank you, sir, for your very informative talk. I would like to inform the audience that Dr. G.V. Reddy is credited with reviving traditional forestry in our state. He is the recipient of many awards including ABN, AMRO Sanctuary Award, Carl Zeiss Award and Green Earth Foundation Eco-Warren Award. He was deputed to Indonesia to work on a World Bank project where his expertise helped in conserving tropical moist evergreen forest of Sumatra. We thank you, sir, once again for sparing your valuable time to be with us today. May I now request Professor Pradeep Bhatnagar, Dean, Faculty of Science, to present a token of our gratitude to the Chief Guest. Thank you, sir. We shall now begin with the formal proceedings of the seminar. Our first resource person for the day is Shri Sundaram Verma. Shri Sundaram Verma is a progressive farmer belonging to Danta Sikar. He has completed over 700 varieties of 15 crops, out of which over 400 varieties have been conserved by National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources, Pusa campus. He represented our state in the National Innovation Foundation. Shri Sundaram Verma